I'd like to call the Rules Committee to order, please. Call the roll. I'll take president. Thank you, ma'am. Okay, before we get started, a couple of housekeeping matters. I'm on. Senator Suderline's SJ 291, he has requested that go by for the week, and without objection, we'll have that go by for the week. I think that's the right number. Yes, that's the right number. Okay, and so we'll go ahead and get started. And to those who want to speak on particular pieces of legislation, when we get to that legislation, if you would just raise your hand and we will acknowledge you and bring you into the room to speak on that legislation. Senator Spruill has asked that he be allowed to present Senate Bill 1126 so that he can get back over to rehab. So Senator Spruill, Senate Bill 1126.
Good morning, Madam Chair, the members of the committee. Senate Bill 1126, Transportation District Commission of Hampton Roads change in membership. Transportation District Commission on Hampton Roads membership add a member of the House of Delegates to the appointed by the Speaker of the House, and a member of the Senate to be appointed by the Senate Committee on Rules to the Transportation District Commission of Hampton Roads. Such legislation members must represent districts that include certain cities in the Hampton Roads region. The bill also requires that a non-legislative citizen of the commissioner appointed by the governor that have experience in the following fields: transportation, or land, or planning and management of such transportation. Madam Chair, the member, we had a member, one on Hampton Road, one in Tidewater, and one on the other side in Hampton Newport News that was on the commission before. We're asking Madam Chair that this will be put back. And we do have people online to speak if you have any questions.
Are there any questions to Senator Spruill with regard to Senate Bill 1126? Do we have speakers with regard to Senate Bill 1126? If so, if you could please raise your hand.
Madam Chair, I'd like to ask a question. It's Deeds.
Senator Deeds.
The question I have is who's affected by the fiscal impact of the bill? Who pays? Is it paid for by the commission? The per diem, the notes reflected that there's a fiscal impact of $2,400. That's paid for by the commission.
Yes.
Hello, this is Joe Dillard on behalf of Senator Spruill.
Sorry, Joe Dillard.
I missed the first part because I was rejoining, Madam Chairwoman. Senator Dees, can you just repeat the first question? I came back in when you said $2,400 per diem.
I think I got the answer to it. I appreciate it very much, Mr. Dillard. Thanks.
I also believe that Ron Jordan.
I'm only here to answer questions, Madam Chair.
Okay. Questions with regard to Senate Bill 11?
Madam Chair, there are no more speakers with their hands raised.
Do we have a motion on Senate Bill 1126?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that Senate Bill 1126 be reported. All in favor?
It's 13-0.
Thank you, Madam Chair and Commission.
Okay, so we'll now go to the various categories. We'll start with the JLARC studies and actions. Senator Lewis and Senator Lucas, I will begin by saying that JLARC is currently conducting 5 studies that are to be completed by the end of 2021. So they are currently at capacity. At best, if the committee considers your 2 studies worthy of being adopted, we can send these to JLARC to be considered for potential study in 2022. But JLARC is currently at capacity, and Hal is here to give any further commentary.
Madam Chair,
Yes, Senator Lucas.
I think Amigo may need to speak to this, but when the similar bill was introduced in the House, there was an amendment made, and 2021 was stricken and 2022 was included or inserted. So could I have someone speak to that from Legislative
Yes.
Services?
Yes, you are correct. Madam Chair, Senator Lucas is correct. And an amendment was put on to extend the date from 2021 to 2022, I believe.
Madam Chair,
Senator Howell.
I just want to make sure people understand that just because we pass it and say 2022 doesn't mean that's going to happen.
Correct.
It'll again be a queue that the JLARC Executive Committee will be prioritizing.
Sure, understand.
Good, thank you.
Madam Chairman.
Yes, Senator McDougal.
Madam Chairman, if you're looking at the 2 studies, it would certainly seem to me that the impact of COVID on our schools and particularly our students, that we had a robust discussion in points of personal privilege yesterday, and I think we'll probably continue to have that conversation. But that is, I think, of the highest priority to our children right now. So I think that one, in the scope of them, is more important to move forward.
Madam Chair, I'd move the amendment to 2022.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we adopt the amendment to move from 2021 to 2022 to this particular study. All in favor of that amendment, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay, that amendment is adopted. Senator Lucas, do you want to expound upon what your study is requesting? I think we understand it.
Yes, ma'am, Madam Chair. Yes, I think it's pretty explanatory, and I think everybody's already read it. But it directs the Joint Legislative Audit and Review Commission to study the true cost of education in the Commonwealth and provide an accurate assessment of the costs to implement the standards of qualities. And all of that, of course, is in light of the COVID-19.
Okay, and as I indicated, Hal is here to address any questions as relates to current JLARC studies or any recommendations that we send moving forward. And as Senator Howell indicated, this would simply be being sent to them to be considered for any potential studies in the future.
Yes, thank you.
So what's the recommendation for SJ 308? It's been moved and seconded that SJ 308 be recommended for approval. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay, so that one will be moved forward. Oh, I'm sorry. I missed public comment. Oh, I'm so sorry. Strike that.
Madam Chair, There are 3 members of the public with their hands raised, if you would like to hear from them.
Okay, I think I see Shane Riddle.
Madam Chair, thank you for allowing me to speak. I'm Shane Riddle with the Virginia Education Association. We believe that SJR 308, sponsored by Senator Lucas, would answer 3 main questions for us, and that's how is student learning being affected in the past year during the pandemic? How about attendance? What do we know about teacher resignations in the midst of the pandemic and the ability to have enough staff? And another question is, how prepared are we if another pandemic or similar crisis hits Virginia? So we believe this study will give us a solid basis on which to make sure that our future responses best serve our students and our schools. And we ask the committee to move favorably on this. I think you already have, but we appreciate the time to give public comment. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Next speaker I see is Tom Smith.
Madam Chair, Tom Smith with the Superintendent's Association. We feel like the exact same way. I'm not sure there have been bigger challenges in my time in Virginia than what we've experienced this past year. And so we feel this is pertinent and appreciate you moving it forward. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Are there any other speakers?
Hal Greer, please go ahead.
Madam Chair, I'm just here to answer questions. I might suggest one thing, though, as we consider this. If it is passed out and ultimately passed by both bodies, I think we are really bound to do this study as JLAR. If it's just referred over to the commission for consideration, then that would be at the discretion of the commission to conduct the study. So I think which way you go makes a difference.
Okay, thank you, Hal. Any additional speakers?
Madam Chair, there are no more speakers in the queue.
Okay, thank you so much. So we will go back and redo our motion on this one.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
in light of the significance of this request, I would move that SJ 308 be recommended for approval.
Moved and seconded that SJ 308 be recommended for approval. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay, that one passes. SJ 294, Senator Lewis.
Yes, ma'am, Madam Chair. I would also entertain or move a similar amendment that we made to Senator Lucas's bill regarding the year 2022 to mine as well.
Is that, so that's an amendment?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so is there a second to his amendment?
Second.
Moved and seconded that Senator Lewis's SJ 294 be amended to show 2022. All those in favor of that amendment, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? That amendment is adopted.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Senate Joint Resolution 2094 is pretty straightforward. It directs JLARC to study the true cost of education in the Commonwealth as well as the cost of implementing the standards of quality. It has been 21 years since we had a fundamental study of the cost of education, and that particular study, Madam Chair, looked at the standards of quality and implementing the standards of quality. This is the true cost of education in addition to the cost of the standards of quality. To give us a true picture, we always hear that the state's not a very good partner when it comes to education and standards of quality funding, and so this will give us a good picture of where we are and where we need to be, and will give us the basis for a pretty robust policy discussion going forward when it comes to funding of K through 12 public education. And again, it's been a long, long time since we've had a baseline study of this, and so that's why I think it's important, Madam Chair.
Are there any questions to Senator Lewis?
Yeah, Madam Chair.
Yes.
I do have a question, and I should have asked this on SJ 308 as well. With these recommendations, is it possible that once it gets to JLARC that they could decide, rather than 2022, that they will conduct these studies in 2021? I mean, I know we changed the language to say 2022, but given the significance of the study, would JLARC decide to take the study up sooner, is my question.
No, they're at capacity now. They're doing 5 studies right now.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions?
Madam Chair, you have a few members of the public with their hands raised.
Okay, so could you start to let them in?
Ron Jordan, please go ahead.
Madam Chair, Ron Jordan representing the Chesapeake Public Schools. This has been in our package and a number of other school divisions packages the last several years. I would remind those of you who've been around that long that the 2000 study, and Hal will certainly remember this, was a watershed study. It pretty much set out the current system we have for funding public ed in the Commonwealth. We haven't revisited that, and certainly the landscape of public education has changed dramatically since that time. It's time to, even if we can't start this until 2022, it's time to examine the foundational underpinnings of how we fund public ed in Virginia. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Jordan.
Joanna Casaubon, please go ahead.
We can't hear you.
Madam Chair, members of the committee, thank you for the opportunity to speak to you this morning to support SJ 295. I'm Jonna Casaubon, and I thank the Senator for carrying this for Norfolk Public Schools. It's been more than 2 decades since JLARC has studied how much it actually costs to educate a child in Virginia. Think about how the standards of quality have drastically changed during that time. Well, so have the costs. We need to analyze how exactly the costs have changed in order to best address how public schools are funded in the Commonwealth. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Hal Greer.
Madam Chair, members of the committee, I'm just here to answer any questions.
Tom Smith, please go ahead.
No, I don't think so. It's important. Yeah, this is important.
Tom, are you there?
Madam Chair, I don't know if you can hear me, having connectivity problems, but Tom Smith, the Superintendent's Association, we've had the request for this kind of study on our legislative platform for a number of years. Having been around when we did the original study 21 years ago, I know the importance of the results of that study and feel that it's time again, as the Senator said, to conduct it. Things have changed significantly, and we need a good understanding of what our actual costs are. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom.
Madam Chair, there are no more speakers with their hands raised.
Thank you so much.
It's Deeds again. Deeds.
Oh, yes, Cree.
Madam Chair, I remember this 2000 study. When Mark Warner was elected governor in 2001, he appointed former Delegate Tom Jackson to the State Board of Education. And the result of that study and Tom Jackson's work specifically on the State Board of Education resulted in part of the 2004 bill that Senator, then Governor Warner, worked with us on, and that remade education. The other bill we passed is important. It's important right now because we need to know about the effects of COVID going forward. But there's not anything we do that's more fundamental to our job as state legislators and educate our children. I think this is incredibly important. I move to report.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that SJ 294 be reported. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed? Okay, SJ 294 is reported. We will now move to continuing legislative studies and actions. I will begin with Senator Stanley, who is not a member of the committee. If he's, okay.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the committee. It's always nice to be before rules. I try to avoid it as much as possible, and I thought I was going to avoid it today because I had to get the shot, but I made it in time. If you all remember, we created the Henrietta Lacks Commission, which sustains the legacy of the life-changing contribution that she made in the cells that she left on this planet after dying of cancer, that has sustained and excelled cancer research. Henrietta Lacks was born in Halifax and raised in Halifax County in Virginia, in my district. And what we did when we created this commission was to, by sustaining that legacy, we were going to put together a life science and cancer research and treatment center and a biomedical research and data center there in Halifax County. The IDA of Halifax County pays for the costs and expenses of this commission. And when we made the commission, we had a sunset clause of July of 2021, which is approaching. The commission has really done an amazing job and has gotten their legs underneath them and are moving with swift pace. But they need more time to plan this because they really are going to succeed. I have the honor and privilege of having sat on that commission, and that commission really does great work. And I believe that if they're allowed to continue, that very soon we will have that biomedical and research facility for cancer research and treatment. So what this bill simply does is, rather than having the sunset clause end in July 1, 2021, it extends it to July 1, 2026. And that's the bill.
Thank you, Senator Stanley. Any questions?
Thank you, Madam Chair.
To Senator Stanley? Moved and seconded that, what's your numbers? Senate Bill 1414 be reported. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? No, oh, this is on the board, I'm sorry. All those in favor, please vote on board. First time.
He's used to hitting the red button on my bill, so this is a first.
Ayes 13, noes 0.
Ayes are 13, noes are 0, so you get out of here with a pass. Okay, we'll now move to Senator Barker, SB 1408.
All righty.
Senate Bill 1408 addresses the issue of sunset of the Joint Commission on Healthcare. The Joint Commission on Healthcare has been operating initially going back to the early 1990s. As it was the Healthcare for All Virginians Commission, and then changed the name later to the Joint Commission on Healthcare. It's had sunsets that in the incorporated in the legislation. In the code since then, there have been 8 different sunsets, and every time there's a sunset, we extend the sunset. This year, the commission decided to try a different approach and say healthcare, we believe healthcare is a significant issue that's going to be an ongoing concern that we need to address with the Joint Commission on Healthcare. So we're asking that the sunset provision be repealed and that the commission be able to operate without a sunset. The current sunset is July 1 of 2022.
Any questions to Senator Barker?
What's that?
I'm asking if there were any questions to you.
Okay.
Moved and seconded that SB 1408 be reported. Okay. You don't have, you have to go vote.
Ayes 14, noes 0.
Ayes are 14, noes are 0. So SB 1408 is reported. Okay, Senator Edwards, SJ 285.
Yeah, Madam Chair, members of the committee, SJ 285 merely extends the time for the subcommittee, joint subcommittee to study barrier crimes and criminal history records checks for 1 additional year. That's all it does.
Any questions? It's been moved and seconded that SJ 285 be reported. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed? Okay. We have any- Okay, we have one now. Okay, we now go down to the non-categorized. We had one other bill, Senator Norman, SB 1172.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. This is a bill that came before the Rules Committee last year and was passed unanimously, and also was reported off the floor of the Senate unanimously. I think the House of Delegates, and perhaps one individual in particular, took umbrage at it. But basically, it just provides some oversight from the Capitol Square Preservation Council on changes that may be made within the Capitol, and I'd ask your support again this year, please.
Are there any questions with regard to SB 1172?
Second.
Moved and seconded that SB 1172 be reported.
Ayes 14, noes 0.
Ayes 14, no 0. That bill is reported.
Thank you, Madam Chairman.
Thank you. We now move down to designation, recognitions, and commendations. Let's see, Senator Vivola is still,
I'm here.
you here?
Yeah.
I just arrived.
She slipped in.
Thank you, Madam Chair. It was quite a meeting in rehab.
Okay, SJ 276?
Is that the one on the brain aneurysm
Yes.
month? I think it's a good resolution. The Brain Aneurysm Foundation contacted me. They feel very strongly about it, and they want to use this resolution as an educational vehicle. So I would move that the committee report it.
It's moved and seconded that SJ 276 be reported. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay, that resolution is reported. Senator McPike, SJ 286.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This would designate the third week in March in 2021 and moving forward each year as Emergency Management Professionals Week in Virginia. As the committee is aware, emergency management professionals are the ones in our communities across the state and localities that help us manage through both COVID crisis, but also natural disasters, floods, hurricanes, and other critical things that impact our community. Madam Chair, and happy to answer any questions.
Are there any questions to Senator McPike?
Even the nurse took a swing at me.
Making sure we have no speakers.
Never heard that one.
Okay, all those in favor of SJ 286, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay. We're now down to SJ 292, and I believe that Senator McDougal, you're going to take that one up.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Senator Vogel was not able to be with us unexpectedly, but this designates August in 2021 and each succeeding month or each succeeding year, the month of August as Women's Suffrage Month in Virginia. And I move that it be reported.
It's been moved and seconded that SJ 292 be reported. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay, the SJ 292 is reported. And I believe that exhausts our agenda for today. So, thank you all very much.
Efficiency.